Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the August edition of the National At Home Dad Network's webinar series. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually doing our webinar today, and I'm not sitting in the computer room in front of my computer, so please excuse the terrible lighting. I do apologize for that, but we're working in my kitchen today as we're going to talk about cooking with kids. And to help me out today, I have my 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Say hi, Lily. Hello. She's going to be cooking with me today. A couple of things. We started Lily cooking with me in the kitchen probably when she was about 2 or 3. And in the beginning, we started with really simple things. You know, take the plastic off of the container of mushrooms, take the stems off the mushrooms, or tear up lettuce. You know, things that were simple and easy. As she got a little bit older, at 5 years old, she got her first real knife. I have it put away currently, but basically it was a traditional French chef knife made of real steel that was really sharp. There are several companies that make plastic knives and other knives. I'm not a fan of them because it teaches kids that, you know, they can be sloppy. I always recommend these to anybody who is starting their kid off with a knife. If you go on Amazon, you can search them. It's literally called a stainless steel finger guard or knife finger guard. You wear it on your finger and it literally just shields, but more importantly, it teaches you to hold your hand in the right position so that you don't clip a finger or anything else. Now, today we're going to be focusing on recipes that are easy enough to do with even little kids. So we're not going to be doing any knife work today. We're going to start off today with my personal favorite cookie recipe in the world. It's a basic chocolate chip cookie with a couple of little extras added to it that make a huge difference. So, first thing that you do whenever you're making cookies or any other kind of baking is we're going to start off with the dry ingredients first. So, Lily, what I need you to do is I need you to measure out 2 cups of flour. And there's a scoop in there. And we're just going to do it until it hits the top.
Okay.
Now,
this is hard.
It is. One of the hard parts about doing this, I was a professional chef for many years before I became a stay-at-home dad. I always know in my heart, I could do this faster. I could do this and make a whole lot less of a mess because there's going to be a mess. They're going to spill flour. They're going to spill sugar. But it's important that you let them do it. Them watching you do it doesn't teach them. Doing it themselves teaches them. It gives them a sense of confidence and accomplishment too. All right, let's wiggle that and see where we're at. Okay, we still need a little bit more, probably about 2 or 3 more scoops, hon.
Okay, depending on how big they are.
Right. Please excuse my younger son. He is apparently excited about whatever he's watching on his YouTube right now.
He didn't want to do this. I don't know why.
That's okay. No, it's okay. All right. So, yep, that's about 2 cups. Now, wait, we're not done.
Can I at least dust my fingers?
Nope, because you're going to do more.
What?
Yeah, we actually need 2 1/4 cups. So, this one doesn't have a quarter on it. Let's get this one. Try. There it is. I highly recommend these if you can ever get your hands on one. It's literally an adjustable measuring cup.
And it's really simple.
Yeah.
Also really fun.
Okay, so you just fill that one up to the top.
Okay.
And then we get to do the fun part, Lily.
What?
Then we get to play with your favorite ingredient.
Sugar!
That is correct. All right, shouldn't need that much, just a little bit more, and you should be full. Yep, that looks good to me. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, you'll push it in? There we go.
That's how we always do it because it's really easy if there's always stuck stuff because that always happens and it's annoying.
It does. Now, you do need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt added into your dry ingredients. Now we're just using the classic kosher salt, nothing fancy.
Why?
Just because that's what we have, huh? Now that's an
Why do you need salt?
Well, salt helps make sweet things taste sweeter and savory things taste more savory.
Interesting.
Yep, but you're gonna need 2 of those because that's only 1/8 of a teaspoon. They didn't make, this set doesn't have a 1/4 teaspoon measure on it.
Annoying.
Yes,
but
it
we can
is,
work
but
with
hey, math is fun though, isn't it?
it. Yeah.
And you get to learn to do the extra math, so
And
that
then-
helps. All right, now, the last thing that we need to add is baking soda, not baking powder, actual baking soda. Which is, oh, sorry about that, just letting somebody else in. Adding actual baking soda. So at this point, just to recap, we've got 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. We've put in 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to put in 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking soda.
Okay. Seems simple enough. Why is it so far down?
Because we use it often, love.
Okay.
All right, so 1 teaspoon. Right.
It kind of feels like, it feels and looks like sugar, but it's not.
And then we're going to go back and do 1/4 teaspoon, which means we need to do
Right.
2 of those 1/8 teaspoons. All right. Now that we're done, those are technically your dry ingredients. I don't know why they told me this when I was in culinary school. For some reason, sugar is considered a liquid ingredient, not a dry ingredient,
That
which is weird.
No sense.
It doesn't, but you know what?
What?
It's just the way it is. Now we're just taking a whisk and mixing all that together. It's okay.
Can I put it back?
No, it's already been on your body. We don't want to put anything dirty. That's good. That's good. All right, so we're gonna knock that off. And
Fine.
then we're gonna set that aside. So the next ingredients that we need 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar.
I love brown sugar. I always think it tastes sweeter for some reason.
Now, you can use light brown sugar, you can use dark brown sugar. If you don't have brown sugar, you can use regular sugar. It won't hurt anything. Let me get you a spoon.
Thanks. I'm like, am I supposed to shake it?
No, don't shake. It won't shake. All right, so we're gonna fill this all the way to the top. Here, let me see if I can help. You ready?
That is a big chunk.
Yeah, it is.
Can I do a little taste test after this?
A taste test to make sure the brown sugar didn't go bad.
To make sure it still tastes good.
Okay, well, here, let me see.
Because you told me sugar can't go bad.
No, it can't really go bad. And I'm pretty sure it still tastes good too, doesn't it?
Yeah, brown sugar always tastes sweeter. Do you know why?
Why?
No, I'm asking you. Do you?
Oh, because it has the molasses still in it.
know?
They haven't refined the molasses out, which gives it a nice little flavor. All right, you want to take a pinch? Just a little one. Is it still tasty? Okay,
I
good.
should go wash my hands now.
You should. Thank you for that. All right. So we're going to put the brown sugar. Now we're going to put this directly into an electric mixer. If you don't have an electric mixer, you can totally do this by hand or use one of the hand blenders or whatever else. I happen to have one, so it just makes things a little bit more convenient. And again, I was wrong. We didn't have enough in there. We didn't pack that down, Lily. Big old air bubble on the bottom. There we go. Oh, we're gonna need more brown sugar. So we can just put that directly into the mixing bowl. And then this recipe, if you use the brown sugar, calls for an additional 1/4 cup of regular sugar.
Yeah,
But
you
you could scoop that out with just a tablespoon.
Is this enough? Is that going to be like enough?
I don't know. Let's find out. How many tablespoons are in an ounce?
Actually, don't know. They don't teach us baking measurements.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
great.
2 tablespoons makes an ounce,
Mm.
and a cup is 8 ounces. So it should take you 4 tablespoons to fill that, right?
Okay.
So doing recipes can really help out with math skills for the kids. It also really helps with like following instructions. These are all things that we all need in life with our kids. A little gentle reinforcement is always helpful. The next thing the recipe calls for is 1 egg.
Can I crack it?
You can. Now you're going to crack it and put it right into there.
Okay.
You can put the shell right back on that.
Is this enough?
Yep, but you want the egg to go in there.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Now Lily's pretty good at cracking eggs and has practice. What I recommend for most people when the kids are just starting is that you have them crack them into a container. Hold on, stop. You gonna put it in here? Oh, okay. Go ahead. Get it down. Good job. You had me scared there for a little bit. So I generally, in the beginning, I would have her break it into a container. That way, if we drop some shells in, they'd be a whole lot easier to pick out as opposed to trying to pick them out of the bottom of a mixing bowl.
What is that?
That is just 1 extra egg yolk.
Why do we need
Because
that?
the egg yolk is a little bit of extra fat, which is going to help make the cookies taste just a little bit better. Now, when you're using a single egg yolk, you're left with an egg white left over. I highly recommend for most people that you just simply turn around and keep the egg yolk, throw it in a container in the fridge, and the next time you cook eggs, mix it in with it. I think yesterday for breakfast, my wife and I had 4 eggs and 2 of them were just egg whites. So slightly healthier, if not quite so rich and tasty as a regular egg. But, all right. So once we get this in, we're going to start blending those together. Well, you just want to get it going slow. So at a low speed, you just want to get, basically you're just creaming the egg yolks. Now, while that is going, usually
It looks so cool.
Usually at this point in the recipe, I would throw the butter directly into the mixer and let it cream the sugar with the butter. However,
It looks like
one of the things that I truly love to do when I'm cooking this recipe,
melt the butter first.
I'm a huge believer, if you actually take the butter and you can brown it. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to put the butter.
Can I do the other one?
Well, sure, but. And this is going to call for 2 whole sticks of butter.
Why do we need to melt it?
Well, we don't need to melt it. What we're actually going to do is we're going to brown it.
What does
So-
that mean?
What we're going to do is we're going to heat the butter up and let it cook a little bit. After it melts, after a couple of minutes, it'll start to bubble and foam. At that point, you want to start whisking it continuously. And it will slowly start to turn brown, and it'll start letting off this absolutely amazing, almost nutty scent. And you wouldn't think that it would make that much of a difference in the taste of a cookie. But once you do this once, you will never, ever make cookies without brown butter again. It is just so much richer and tastier. And it only takes a couple of minutes to do. So we'll have that going in the background. Now, the only other ingredients that we're going to throw in here is we need.
Vanilla extract.
This is just some vanilla extract. And we're doing a teaspoon and a half. That seemed like too much. There we go. That's 1 teaspoon. Uh-oh.
Wow.
All right, that's half a teaspoon. Well, I've got more vanilla extract, I'm sure. It's going to give me a couple seconds to find it.
I'm gonna put this in the.
That's lemon. Yes, you can totally put that in the recycle bin. There we go. All right, so that one was half a teaspoon. So now we'll throw in
Almost teaspoon.
another whole teaspoon.
What? Vanilla extract smells really good, but you shouldn't eat it straight up.
No, it tastes horrible. It is all the vanilla flavor with none of the sweetness, Lily.
Ew, that's disgusting.
Now, I'm gonna bring you guys over a little bit just for your sake. You can now see this start to bubble a little bit.
Can I smell?
Well, it's not ready to smell yet, but you can make your way over.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna start giving it a little stir.
It looks so cool. Ooh, but butter could have yellow in it. It literally has
Yeah.
yellow. Why?
Well, because butter is yellow. Wasn't it yellow when you started with it?
Oh yeah.
So basically what you're doing by browning it is you're slightly cooking the milk solids that already exist within the butter. And that's what's going to bring that nice, rich, nutty flavor to what we're doing. No, you'll know when it starts to smell.
And now it just smells like butter.
Right, now it just smells like butter. Yep, that's just that smell of butter. Now you want to be doing this on medium to medium-high heat. Did I get you? I'm sorry. Come here. Stay behind me. I'm still getting used to my new stove. We just upgraded significantly in stove recently. So it's got a little bit more power than I'm used to. But I'm sure I'll adapt quickly because you can't ever have too much heat. You can always turn it down. You can't really make it hotter once it's on full blast. All right, now Lily, look.
Yeah.
You see how I'm starting to get these little brown bits around the edges? Yeah. Okay. So now we're starting to get that brown butter going. It shouldn't take more than a couple more minutes.
Is it gonna turn brown?
There will be some particles in it that are going to turn brown.
Cool.
Now I'm going to take it off the heat a little bit so that I can actually see. Because unfortunately, while it's on the heat, the bubbles tend to keep you from really seeing. But a lot of what you're going to go by is smell.
I don't smell that.
You don't smell it yet. I know. We're starting to brown a little bit.
Can you see it brown?
Sit right around the edges. Sit right there. When I move the phone,
Yeah.
see how it's starting to stir that brown in there? Now, one thing to remember when you're doing this is that after you get done, you are going to want, can you stir that carefully for me? No, can you stir that very carefully? Thank you, honey.
The whisk is gone.
Yeah, I'm. So now we have a nice brown butter. One of the things that you want to do is you want to pour it off right away into another container to prevent it from continuing to cook in this hot pan. Because if you leave it in the pan, what's brown butter now in about 30 to 45 seconds turns into black butter. And now you've wasted 2 cups or 2 sticks of butter, which is never fun.
Can I smell?
Yeah. Here, give it a smell. Smell the difference? Doesn't that smell almost like caramel? Yeah, there is a lot of coffee around here. That's usually true. Now, this particular recipe calls for an ingredient that I never used when I was growing up in cookies.
Yogurt.
But it calls for 1 tablespoon of Greek yogurt, obviously plain. We're going to throw that in there.
It's kind of like hard to get off.
And then we're just going to let it all go mix.
Flour at it after this.
Oh, is that the pattern it's making?
Yeah.
All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this brown butter and we're going to slowly add that in, not all at once, or you might end up cooking those egg yolks. So just a nice steady stream.
Question, Daddy.
What's your question? Well, because when something turns brown, will give you some nice flavors. Black tastes like burnt. Once it turns black, that means that you've turned the butter solids into carbon. And then it's kind of like licking a piece of charcoal.
I don't know what charcoal tastes like.
Terrible
like that thing?
Pretty much. Now I'm going to grab the whisk and get those last little bits of brown butter out the bottom because that's where all the flavor is. I'm sorry. Thank you. Rubber spatula. Don't ever think that they're not paying attention because they will correct you as often as they possibly can. And that's okay. All right, so now that we have that all uniformly mixed, and I'll give you guys a quick look.
It looks pretty cool.
I mean, it's just kind of a uniform brown color.
It reminds me of the caramel color, like less reflective.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop this down low. And Lily, I want you to slowly add that in. Not all at once. We're just going to wiggle it back and forth.
It makes it look like there's a white ring.
All right, now we're going to stop and we're going to let it incorporate all of that.
Oh. Oh. Do you ever use pen? Like
Not when I'm doing this.
What do you use it on?
I think I've used 10 when I'm grinding meat using this before.
Okay.
All right, let's get a little bit more in there. Shake, shake, shake. You got it?
It's hard.
That's all right.
Then I don't really,
That's okay. You washed your hands, so it's okay to have it on your finger.
What's the highest you've used baking cookies?
Well, I mean, if I'm doing like an icing or, you know, if I'm making meringue or something, I might go up to a 10. Now I'm just going to scrape the sides with this rubber spat just to make sure that we're getting all the flour that's sticking to the side of the bowl. And then we're going to put it back on. And again, you're doing this at a low speed. You can get away with using a higher speed if you don't use all-purpose flour. If you use like a cake flour, the reason that you don't want to go real high speed is the more that you work the flour, the more you develop the strands of gluten within the flour. And gluten is going to make chewy, tough cookies. So you don't want them to be overworked. All right, let's go a little bit more.
Chewy gummies are fun, but not chewy cookies. That sounds terrible. If you did their crunchy milking cookies is really fun.
Yes, crunchy cookies dipped in milk are really fun. All right, and let's get the last of it in. All right. That's all right. Now, Lily, now we get to do your favorite part.
What is that?
Can you do me a favor? Can you fill that with chocolate chips? Now, we're a semi-sweet chocolate family. If you're more into milk chocolate, have at it. If you want to use butterscotch chips, if you don't want to use any chips at all, it's just a delicious cookie.
Butterscotch chips? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I probably should have told you that existed, should I? All right, I'll add that to the shopping list. Oh, don't lose that one.
You can never have too much chocolate. I mean, you can if you start getting tummy aches, but before you get a tummy ache from eating too much candy, you can never eat too much candy. That is wrong.
All right, Lily. Now, if you would add that in there. Oh, you can just put it all in.
No!
There you go.
Chocolate rain!
Oh. Did you make it rain with chocolate?
Yes.
There you go. All right, now, once you get this all evenly mixed,
that looks so cool.
we got a little bit of flour that's here on the paddle that I'm going to shake loose and give it another quick spin. And then down. Now, once you get to this point,
amazing.
because we're using that brown butter, The dough is a little bit warm and definitely on the gooey side, in case you can't tell. So
it smells amazing.
it does. No licking the beater yet. I know. And again, I'm forced to tell you that, doctors and the USDA do not recommend that you eat raw cookie dough. There's a risk of salmonella because this does contain raw eggs in it. All I can tell you.
Salmonella is.
All I can tell you is I'm pretty much sure everybody here has eaten their fair share of cookie dough at one point or another in their lives. And a little bit isn't going to hurt you. Probably wouldn't eat the whole container, but you got to live. Now, once you get it to this point, generally what you would do is I would empty this into a smaller mixing bowl, and I would put it in the refrigerator and leave it to cool down and hopefully get a little bit neater to work with, a little bit easier to work with. That should take about an hour to 2 hours at the most. However, through the magic of webinars and TV, I can pull out the first batch of these that I already did. So what you do is you will cover this in plastic just to keep the top from drying out.
Can I smell it?
You can totally smell it.
It doesn't when it's like cooled down.
Well, because when it's hot, the compounds in it are a little bit more active, and as a result, the smell comes off stronger. Cold things have less taste and less smell than hot things. It's one of the reasons why the only way I've ever gotten your mother to eat durian fruit was when I made sorbet out of it.
What's durian fruit?
That's a weird fruit that smells like a horrible, it smells terrible, but tastes delicious. At least to me. There was a point in your life when you ate it, but I don't think you remember.
I don't.
Now, the fun part with these cookies is at this point, you can just scoop the dough out, throw it on a cookie sheet, cook it at 350, and you've got cookies, and it's awesome. However, what I do with this dough that makes it my absolute favorite cookie and the one that my wife and kids love the most is we will take a spoon.
A big spoon.
And we'll get about that much dough out.
Wow, that's a big spoon.
It is. More importantly, I have this jar of Nutella. Now, this has been sitting in the fridge for a little while so that it's not completely all liquidy like Nutella is. What I will do is, now this is nice and firm, so it'll take a little bit of body heat, but flatten it out.
Can I get one spoon to try?
Yeah, let me get you a spoon so you can try.
Okay. Probably gonna be hard. It's hard to just scoop.
All right.
Can I get one?
There you go. So, keep it in your hands. It'll warm up from your body heat.
That is cold. I'm trying to resist the urge to just eat this.
Yeah, no, please don't.
Why?
Because it'll taste better when it's an actual cookie, right?
I know.
All right, so once we get it to this nice little flat piece like this,
How did you do that?
well, I've had a little bit more time. What we're going to do is we're going to take,
Will you help?
I will, give me 1 minute.
That is like a boulder shape.
That's the fun part, is that when they cook, they kind of melt. We're going to get a little ball of Nutella. We're going to put it right here, and then we're just going to fold the cookie up around it. Now, you want to make sure that no Nutella is showing through the sides. Once you get it all done, you roll it back into a little ball shape. You having trouble over there?
Yes.
Okay, give me a second. I'll help you out.
I love to see how
And then
adorable.
you can take it put it on a cookie sheet,
And then
pat it.
smash it.
No, don't smash it because you don't want to break the sides open, or when it cooks, all the Nutella will leak out, and that's no fun, is it?
Uh,
All right, so let me help you with this.
I am very terrible at this.
All right, well,
Can I throw the Nutella part?
yes, you can. Get
Yeah.
a little bit of Nutella.
This is hard to do.
It is. Well, that's because otherwise it would be like liquid. Careful, don't break the spoon.
I'm trying.
Alright.
Maybe
Let me
we
help
should have used a metal spoon.
Yeah, I know. But the metal spoon was dirty, and I didn't want to walk over to the spoon container. All right, you ready?
Uh-huh.
All right, now pick this up.
Mm-hmm. It looks like a pancake.
You want to show them?
It's a pancake.
So what you want to do is now curl up the sides over the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the way over.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, and make a ball.
I know a really good way to make non-ball things into a ball.
How's that?
I can show you.
Show me. When you roll it around, there you go. All right, now you want to make sure that there's no cracks in it. But basically, you're going to do this until all of them are done. And after that, you're going to throw them into a 350-degree oven. That's just a regular oven, no convection or anything else. If you have a convection oven, I personally would recommend turning the convection off. Or if you can't, drop the temp down to probably 325. They cook for about 9 to 10 minutes. Good job, hon. So as you can see, there's no cracks with Nutella leaking out or anything. Once that's done, you want to pat them down so that they're a little bit flat on one side. And then again, we'll drop it right down here on a cookie sheet. All right, Lily, we're gonna finish these later when we don't have a whole bunch of people paying attention.
Okay.
Because they probably have better things to do than to watch us roll. Well, you want to do one more? Or two more? Here. Here. That's been sitting a little while. It might be easier. Mix that in. You're going to need more dough than that. One thing that you do need to remember when doing these is you're going to use more cookie dough per cookie than you normally would, because you're basically making a
2-layer cookie.
Yeah, you're making 2 cookies.
How are you so cool?
Well, I'm a little bit stronger than you, hon. And remember, Daddy worked as a chef. Daddy worked as a baker. Don't hit your hand, hon.
I actually do that when I'm trying to use the stapler.
Oh, good Lord. Smash your hand, hon. All right, come here. Here. All right, here. Now you can have the metal spoon.
Yeah, metal spoon.
All right. Now don't put too much in there or you're not going to be able to cover it. Yes, that should be the perfect amount. If you look, it's about a teaspoon of Nutella that's going inside of each one of these.
Bottom broke.
Well, all right, wait, let me see what you're going to do. The bottoms are going to break. What you can do at that point is you just kind of pinch it back together.
Okay.
And smooth it over, and then go back to working the top, smooth that over, and just close up all the cracks. And if you need to add a little bit more dough, you can add a little bit more dough. Okay, hon?
Let's have a bigger cookie.
That is very true. It is kind of hard to have too big of a cookie.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time you ate a cookie as big as your head? Yeah, you did. We were at Cocoa Cinnamon.
Amazing.
I'm going to have to bring pictures out of you to show you about that later tonight, okay?
I need another cookie the size of my head. Size of Dad's head.
I don't know if there are any cookies as big as my head. I'm sure a lot of the people watching will confirm that I do have a big head. Now, I do apologize to any of you that are watching online or are currently in the Zoom call that might be typing questions in, because I deeply apologize, but I can't touch the computer to answer anything. Now, I'm making these kind of big, so I'm just going to put the 4 of these on. Did you get it done? Look at you go. It is. It is a little on the tough side.
You're making a double layer cookie and it's
All right, let me see. All right. Now, once these are done, like I said, you're looking at about 9 to 10 minutes at 350. You know, I put them on the middle rack. And we'll look at the watch. All right, so yeah, we'll check them at about 3:15. Should be good. All right, I'm gonna throw this back in the fridge. Rest to finish later. Now, when you pull these out, they're not gonna look done. They're gonna look undercooked, and that's okay. Because one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're cooking is they cook everything until it looks perfect, and then by the time they eat it, it ends up being overcooked. And they forget that, you know, when you pull those cookies out of the oven, they're still going to be, the dough is still going to be 350 degrees. Do you want to wipe your hands off? The dough is still going to be 350 degrees until it cools off. So they're going to continue to cook for a few minutes after you take them out. Now, again, through the magic of television and special effects and all the rest of it, I cooked these off earlier. Now, I use the silicone mats in the bottom of my pans because they're easy to clean and they're infinitely reusable. You can do parchment on them. If you have a non-stick pan, you can use a non-stick pan. I mean, however you cook cookies.
White crystal.
So
if
you look, the 2 on this side, I've gone ahead and went right when they came out of the oven, when they were still nice and warm, I sprinkled them with a large flake sea salt. The kids might not care for the salt ones. My wife really, really loves the salt ones.
Can I try?
You absolutely can.
Probably the smaller one.
You want to try the smaller one?
Yeah.
All right. Now, ooh, those are still warm. All right, now, hun, that's going to make a mess. Hold on. All right. You taste it? No? Okay.
I like sea salt chips, but not sea salt cookies.
Okay, no sea salt cookies for you. But, so these are still a bit warm, but if you look, when you break them open, you can see it is just pure Nutella on the inside. It is an ooey gooey mess. The kids love them. My wife absolutely loves them. The brown butter gives that nice caramel flavor to them. Yeah, these probably need to cool a little bit. Why don't you put that one down? Because right now it's falling apart in your hands, love. So we'll let these cool. They have been sitting on top of the hot stove for a while. But cookies are really, really easy to make.
And fun.
And they're fun, and there's something that you can make right here at home. They're not hard for the kids to do. And honestly, I know it sounds corny, but when you make them yourself, I know what's in that cookie. I mean, there's flour, there's sugar, there's butter. You know, the only pre-made thing that I bought was the chocolate chips.
But they're just pure chocolate, basically, so it doesn't make a difference.
I know that if I go to the store and I buy Chips Ahoy or I buy some other, you know, whatever cookie off the shelf, they've added in preservatives because they need to. It needs to have a shelf life. It needs to stay on the shelf long enough to sell and for them to make money and to be shipped across the country and the rest of it. And I totally understand that. If you can make it at home, why not? It's fun. It's enjoyable for the kids. Did you have fun making cookies?
Yeah, and when you make things yourself, it always feels a little better.
Does it taste better if you cooked it yourself, love?
Yeah, it really tastes better because you know you worked for it. And
now,
if you work for it, things are always better because you don't have to spend money for things like this. And it's pretty easy.
Well, you do have to spend some money for the ingredients, but not a huge amount. Now, I will point out that sometimes we have cooked things together that Lily was something that she might not be willing to taste normally, but because she cooked it, she was willing to give it a try.
I love trying new things.
And sometimes it's a winner. Sometimes it's not. There have been a lot of times that she's taken one taste and said, "Oh, nope, not for me," just like she did with the sea salt on that cookie, which is fine.
At least I tried, so I know I don't like it.
Exactly, and that's the key. Cookies are really simple. I cannot recommend enough if you are looking for just a simple cookbook to have around your house. The old classics never fail you. The Joy of Cooking has been around for, gosh, almost a century, I think, at this point.
Oh my god!
And it's probably in its 15th or 20th edition at this point. And it's got recipes for everything. Their baking section, their cookie section, you will find the recipes in Joy of Cooking are the same ones that your grandma used and your mom used, and your kids will remember that you used them. It's probably the most used cookbook on my shelf, and my cookbook shelf is those two full-size bookshelves.
Like, how do you need that many cookbooks?
Well,
Dad?
your dad has a little bit of a problem and really likes to buy cookbooks. But so that's a quick, easy, savory cookie. I mean, you can leave out the Nutella if you're not feeling like getting that messy, because I will be the first one to point out there will be Nutella everywhere. As I said, the kids are going to make a mess. There's going to be
Hello.
Lily.
This is my
Lily.
dress.
There's going to be a mess on the table. There's going to be flour.
There's going to be a mess on your clothes.
But the fact is, it's not that hard to clean up. I'll move the cutting board away, wipe off the whole counter, hit it with some Fantastic or what. Well, honestly, I use an orange cleaner, but yeah, wipe it down with some cleaner and it'll be good as new. Now, the other one that I wanted to talk about is cheese sauce. Believe it or not, my children, just like everybody else's, absolutely love and adore macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, when we do it, we usually make it from the blue box. However, we always add to it. I tend to add a lot more cheese to it than what is normally in it. When my son was younger and was having trouble gaining weight, one of the things that we did was he would eat macaroni and cheese. So we stopped making it with milk and started making it with heavy whipping cream because, it has 12 times the fat content of whole milk. And certainly my doctor was happy with the extra calories going in him. And, also tastes really good. But what I wanted to talk about today was making your own, which is surprisingly easy. It literally takes 4 ingredients. You need milk, you need butter, you need flour, and then you need cheese. And it's whatever cheese you want. What we're going to do is we're going to make a basic bechamel sauce. It's a fancy name for thickened milk, basically. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to do. What we're going to do is, again, we're going to start off with a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. And the reason that you always do unsalted butter is, it's self-explanatory. I can always add salt to my butter. I can't take salt out. I know that there are people who like salted butter to spread on their bread, but I can spread unsalted butter and then sprinkle salt on it. And I don't feel like having 3 or 4 different kinds of butter in my house. There's enough in the fridge already. Yeah. Now, they do wonderful markings on the side of butter containers that will show you the tablespoons and the rest of it. Now, one thing to remember is that they never put the wrapper on straight. So you can see that there's probably half to 1/4 of a centimeter a blank space here. So if I cut it at the four tablespoon mark, which is the quarter cup, I'm going to have a little bit too much. So I'm going to go a little bit to one side of it. And we're going to cut that off.
So are we using this side?
Yeah, we're going to use this side.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to put that in a pan. And we're going to move things that we want to cool off. You want to bring your stool over to this side now?
Yeah.
Another thing that I do recommend for everybody is that get your kids a stool or something so that they can see, so that they're not reaching blindly up over the counter. What you're going to do is you're basically just going to melt this butter. Now, while this butter is melting, we are also going to need a quarter cup of flour. And what we're going to do is
There's no cookie dough on it.
yeah, here, you want to eat that? Okay. Is it tasty? Okay. All right. So what you're going to do is you put equal parts of butter and flour in a pan and mix them together. This makes something that's called a roux. It's a fancy French word for butter and flour. Basically, what happens is the butter is going to surround the individual particles of flour and enable them to stay separate, so that when you add a liquid to it, the individual particles will absorb liquid and thicken things instead of turning into one giant lump of like dumpling or flour. I'm gonna turn those lights off so we can stop blinding everybody. Sorry about that.
My face fuzzy.
Hey, Lily. Now, can you move back over this way so that they can see? All right. So what we've got is we've just got it in the pan. And, you know, we're just using a simple whisk.
We're browning butter.
No, we're not browning. We don't want this butter to brown. We just want it to melt.
Oh,
All right,
I
now,
think it's melted.
all right, can you, Lily, can you take that from me? Can you pour it in?
I'm trying.
Oh, right. There we go. Good. That's all right.
Will
You
you
did.
put the top?
There we go.
It's just hot, and I'm not used to it.
I know. Sometimes you gotta remember, it's not gonna burn you. I've got a pan in the way.
Ah,
Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit there
it makes everything.
and you're
look
gonna
like
stir it into a little paste.
paste. Like the paste on the back of sticky note? I
No,
don't know what
no,
kind
not
of-
like glue. All right, Lily, I need you to step down because I'm gonna move a hot pan. Now, if you look,
That's
you
really
can
hot.
see, that right now it is just a bright white color. This is just raw flour and butter. You're going to want to leave this on the heat and stir it for 2, maybe 3 minutes, depending on how strong your stove is. I've got this on the lowest powered eye that this stove has. So it's not cooking incredibly fast. But once you get this done, what we're going to do is we're going to add, all right, I'm going to turn that off. We're going to grab this. We're going to add in 2 cups of milk. Now, we use whole milk.
We're very skinny kids.
Yes, you are. If you have skim milk in your house, if you have 0, like, you know, 1%, low fat, whatever, you know, use whatever milk you would normally use. You could also do this with nut milks. You can make a bechamel with almond milk or that type of thing. Huh?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, Mary uses that. All right, now I want you to pour that in, and while you're pouring it, you want to be stirring constantly. All right, you can go a little faster.
It makes it more white.
Yep.
Because it
Keep
before
going.
it's a little yellow.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. All of it. 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 Keep going. Keep going. There you go. All right, now let me have the glass. Oh, gotcha.
It looks like milk now.
Right.
It's milk
So-
color.
Once this happens, you're going to put it over here, and you're going to let that come up to a full boil.
Oh boy.
And then once it starts boiling, you're going to reduce the temperature down to a simmer. That is where it's just barely bubbling, Lily. Yeah, little itty bitty bubbles.
Like popcorn.
Exactly. Exactly, Lily. Now, traditionally, when you're making bechamel, if you're making like a cream sauce out of it, usually people would grate a little bit of fresh nutmeg into it. If you do that, again, very, very little nutmeg, like the smallest sprinkling. Otherwise, you will be drinking or eating something that just tastes like pure nutmeg, and it's not pleasant, even a little bit. Once it comes to a boil, it will begin to start thickening. Now, the important thing that people don't realize is that unlike thickening with cornstarch, or some of the other thickening agents that people use, roux, you have to cook the flour taste out. So once it comes up to a boil, it will thicken, and then you need to let it simmer for at least a good 5 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to taste that raw flour in there, and it's not something that most people enjoy the flavor of. Now, with this one, I'm just going to do a simple cheddar cheese, because who doesn't love cheddar cheese? But you could do the same thing with blue cheese and pour it over a steak. You could do it with pepper jack and make like a great queso. Any of that you want to. This is just going to enable the cheese to not only melt, but for anybody who's ever tried to melt cheddar cheese, or most good cheeses, you know that as they melt, the oils and the fats tend to separate from the solids, and you end up with that greasy, oily stuff. I mean, we've all microwaved nachos. We all know what that looks like. It might have been a while, but we were all young at some point. I know I microwaved a lot of nachos and burritos back in the 90s when I was in college. All right, we're gonna move that to a little bit stronger of a burner to see if we can make that happen a little bit quicker. There, and turn that down so we don't burn it.
What happens if we burn it?
Well, then we've wasted milk and flour and butter, right? Now it's starting to thicken a little bit, Lily. See how much thicker that is than when we started?
I don't see it.
Here, stir a little. You feel it? Does that feel like milk?
No. It feels like there's like ice under it.
It feels like there's like a sauce, right?
Yeah, it feels like it's slipping on ice under it. Like at the bottom. If you try to feel down there.
Yeah, you don't want to put your finger down there. That's real hot.
Yeah.
Now, while we are waiting for this to come up to a boil, I will mention a couple of the weird dynamics with roux. You never want to put a hot liquid into a hot roux, or hot roux into a hot liquid. It'll still work. It just tends to splatter and pop, and burns hurt. It's not. Yeah, it's not a pleasant feeling. You can put hot liquids into cold roux, or what I just did was we put, we had hot roux, and then we added the cold milk to it. Especially with the kids, be really careful with roux. I always prefer to have a hot roux that I add a cold liquid to, rather than adding roux. Like I like to add the liquid to the roux, not the roux to the liquid, because roux itself, there's no nice way of putting it. The stuff is like napalm. It's really hot. It's sticky. If it gets on you, like it smears when you try to wipe it off. It's just not. It's not a fun burn. It's not a fun feeling. Safety first, always. Especially in the kitchen.
What's napalm?
It's a substance that is sticky and catches on fire. Don't worry about it.
I
But
do not want to be on fire.
no one wants to be on fire. Also, as you can see, being in the kitchen introduces some fun conversations like, what is napalm?
I just want to know everything if you can't tell.
Yeah, she is a sponge for knowledge.
And I want to be an astronomer.
Now, I did go ahead and grate cheese ahead of time. I doubt I will put all of this in there. That's a lot of cheese.
That is a lot.
However, my kids eat a lot of cheese, so it's not like we'll have trouble going through grated cheese. Now, watch out. I'm going to come around. Now, if you look right here, this was milk just a second ago.
Kind of like glue when you pick it up.
Well,
Like slime.
I'm gonna show them the way that I was always shown in school.
Like slime glue.
So the way that we were taught in school to know that it was thickened enough is that the sauce sticks to the bottom of a spoon,
Okay.
and when you run your finger across it, the row stays, like it doesn't seal back up. So at this point, we are definitely thick enough. No. Right, well, because I wanted to make a point. Right now, this is paste. It tastes like thick milk. Now, I don't add salt to it at this point because the cheese already has a salty flavor to it. And I can always add salt later. If I put too much in, the only way to get salt out would be to make more and dilute it. So we'll put a handful of cheese in here at a time.
It looks like snake kind of like inside it.
Yep.
What's the highest?
No, you don't want to turn that all the way up high, love.
Why?
Because we don't need 21,000 BTUs to make cheese sauce.
What's BTU?
British thermal units.
That's
All right, would you take a handful of cheese and throw it in there? Yep. Well, as much as you can carry. All right, go ahead. Put it in. All right, hit me with another one. There we go.
A lot of cheese. A lot of cheese. Is that hard to miss?
It's getting harder.
It's turning yellowish.
Well, maybe I will use all this cheese.
I'm just telling
Lily.
you.
Hey, Lily. You don't need to put your face in the picture, okay? I know you're ready to be. I know you're ready to be a star, but we're not there yet, okay? You might sparkle, but you're not a star yet.
I don't want to be a star. I want to be an astronomer.
Okay. All right, Lily. Can you pour the rest of that cheese in?
Stop. Get melted cheese.
You got it all?
Ah,
It's just a little warm. It wasn't hot, right?
it was hot.
Okay. Well, I don't see a. You touch this?
On accident.
Oh, that's just the top. The top of it's not that hot, love. It's warm.
It feels hot to me.
It is definitely hot, but there's a difference between something that's hot and something that actually burns you. So at this point, we have put all of that cheese in here.
It's a lot of cheese and it's very yellow.
And you can see
that it's yellow.
we have the consistency here that we could easily throw some elbow macaroni in here and have
Macaroni roux.
and have macaroni and cheese, love.
Oh.
See, this is what macaroni and cheese is. There's your cheese sauce.
Huh?
Now,
Shouldn't you turn this on? See how yellow it is?
in a little bit, we will. I'm going to grab a couple of spoons.
Okay, why?
Well, because we need to taste it.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
So
probably not gonna get a lot because I've never tried this.
what I do is just put a tiny little bit on the end of the spoon.
Okay.
Blow on, yeah, blow on it. We call it foofing here. Make sure it cools off a little bit. It's cheesy. It definitely needs a little bit more salt.
Can I put my finger on it
Yep.
to test the streak thing? Does need more salt.
Definitely need salt, right? All right, now you've had this. Are you gonna lick that off?
Mhm.
All right, now that you've had that in your mouth, we can't put it back in the sauce. So what I always do, so that I have to wash dishes less, is I'll do the next taste
With the end.
with the back of the spoon, because it makes life a little easier. Now, one trick that I learned working in the restaurant industry is that now again, this is not something that you can do if you are vegetarian. Is add a dash of Worcestershire sauce to your cheddar cheese sauce. It makes it taste cheesier, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I don't know how, I don't know why.
But we want it more salty,
right? Right. Well, Worcestershire sauce is pretty salty, love.
Yeah,
But the reason that vegetarians can't do it is that Worcestershire sauce in and of itself is not vegetarian. So I wouldn't want to have somebody go against their own dietary restrictions, whether it's for health reasons or personal reasons or whatever. Now we've added a little bit of salt. Let's see what this tastes like.
What happens if we need to add more salt?
Then we got to get in. Then we have to do some dishes. What do you think? More salt?
More salt.
All right. Well, hold on. Let's try this game.
What is this game? This. What is the Worcestershire? I can't say.
Yeah, it's a tough one to say.
But it's on a straw.
Now, I would like to point out, I forgot to set a timer. So those are probably going to end up being pretty crispy. They're not going to be quite as.
I mean, at least it'll be better for milking cookies than the other ones, because the other ones are really soft.
Yeah, they're not burnt, but they're certainly not soft in the way that I usually like them. You want to pick a salt to sprinkle? Which one you want to sprinkle? We have pink salt, we have Tibetan rose, we have red salt, ginger salt, probably not the garlic salt.
I want to try.
Or you want to try the green salt?
I want to try the Himalayan and the Hawaiian.
Okay.
I love Hawaii. 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 Why are you sprinkling that?
Well, that's what we're doing it for.
Mm.
You want to taste the pink salt?
Mm-hmm.
You know what it tastes like?
What?
No, give me your hand. Tastes like salt.
I do not enjoy straight up salt. I enjoy salty things.
You want to try the red salt?
A little.
Okay, I'll give you a tiny bit. There you go. Now it's got a little bit of a different taste, doesn't it? It's because there's more iron in that. So this is just simple Worcestershire sauce. And when I say just a little dab, I mean literally like that much.
It looks like soy sauce in color.
As you can see, we spilled. Kind of brown.
Do you still have enough Worcestershire?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we might add a little bit more.
It looks
Alright,
like a tornado, the part that's brown. You can't tell, it kind of looks like a tornado.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right. Now, yeah, I actually poured most of the Worcestershire sauce out on my cutting board here in my effort to tilt it enough to show you guys.
It's so brown.
It is. It does. Well, soy sauce is also mostly salt.
Do you like soy sauce?
Maybe. You like edamame, right?
Yeah.
That's soybeans.
I love edamame.
All right.
Edamame.
All right. You want to use the back of my spoon? Because we didn't wash yours, but I washed mine. How's that taste?
Yum.
Is that good cheese sauce? So if I made mac and cheese with this, you would eat that?
Yeah. Will you tell them that? Will you show them how that looks like?
I will. I will. Also, as you can see, as my daughter says, we made a tornado.
Mini tornado. Will
This is
tear up the world.
This is what we have our cheese sauce. Now, these are really simple things. They're easy to do. It's easy to get the kids involved. Something as simple as when you're making salad, just having them wash the veggies. Anything that you can do to get the kids in the kitchen doing work, making food, in my opinion, is a great thing.
It will also teach them that determination is a good thing, and if they're determined enough, they can do something amazing. If they're determined enough, they will do something amazing because they're determined to do it.
All right, Lily. You're a ham.
I don't know what that means.
I know you don't. Lily.
What does it mean?
It means that you're mugging it up for the camera, love. It means you're acting silly for the camera, love. So, one of the things that struck me as really odd is, I grew up in the 70s. I turned 50 this past year, and growing up in the 70s and 80s, like many people my age, I was a latchkey kid. I did a lot of, making my own food. Now, granted, a lot of that started with opening a can of Chef Boyardee or that type of thing. But eventually, probably by the time I was 12 or 13, like I was fully capable of cooking a dinner or a meal by myself. When I got to college in 1990, I was genuinely shocked by how many of the people I was friends with didn't know how to cook. Like they didn't know how to like use a stove or, something as simple as searing a steak or cooking an egg. All of that was well beyond their abilities. And again, everybody grows up different, but I want to make sure that when my kids go away and go out on their own, that they've got the ability and the confidence to be able to make tasty, hopefully healthy. I will say we made cookies and cheese sauce today, so not perfectly healthy, but
it's simple.
But it is simple, and it is tasty, and it is quite delicious. And again, we pulled both of these off in, maybe 30 minutes worth of prep. Worth of actual work time. Now, granted, once that cookie dough cools down enough, we'll have to make more cookies, which is easy enough. And we won't bother cleaning the kitchen until after we get done with the rest of the cookies, because we don't want to do that twice. But overall, it's a good time and quite a bit of fun to be in the kitchen with the kids and the family. And don't be afraid of it. Be careful. The kids aren't going to burn themselves. They're not going to hurt themselves. I mean, you saw her, how cautious she was. Even getting close to that stove, the minute she felt the heat, she backed away. Kids are a lot smarter sometimes and have a lot more common sense than we give them credit for. I do want to thank the National At Home Dad Network for giving us this opportunity to share this with you guys. I also want to reach out and thank the folks over at Dad University. Dad University has recently become a title sponsor for our webinar series. They're also one of the sponsors for our podcast. They're a sponsor for one of the sponsors for our convention, which is coming up at the end of September through the 1st of October in Phoenix, Arizona. And we highly recommend that everybody, check that out. If you go to our website, which is www.athomedad.org, you'll find links to past webinars. You'll find links to the podcast. You'll find information out about our convention coming up. And also Dad University. They do an amazing job of offering courses to help dads be better dads. They offer a little bit of everything. They offer a sliding scale for what they charge. So it's not going to break the bank. It's not going to break anything other than maybe break your heart when you realize that, you're doing better as a dad. And we all like to hear that, don't we?
Yes, I want you to be a good daddy.
Okay.
Don't ask me how my hair got in my face. It just did.
Yeah. So on behalf of the National At Home Dad Network and myself and Lily, we want to thank all you guys for your time. If you're watching this on the replay, please, if you check our Facebook page, our public Facebook page, or on our website, I will make sure that both of these recipes are on the website and are on the Facebook page so that you guys can find them to reference them and make them yourselves. I do want to mention that next month we will not be having a September webinar because I'm going to be really busy getting everything ready helping get everything ready for the convention, which is the last weekend in September through the 1st of October. So I believe it's the 28th, 29th, or no, 29th, 30th, and 1st. Is the convention, and we got a lot of work to do to get everything ready and make sure everything goes smoothly. So we're going to take September off, but we will be back in October with another webinar, and we can't wait to see you guys there. In the meantime, have a wonderful afternoon, and hey, get in the kitchen and cook with your kids.